Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Trevin Love Show here on YouTube.com, where we talk SEC, Tennessee, and everything CFB. I'm Trev. That's Lev. This is the Trevin Love Show, and today we're talking Tennessee's season outlook presented by our friends at VIP Play, where you can bet like a VIP in Tennessee. Use our code when you sign up, TL Show. That is TL Show, and you'll receive $100 in bonus bets when you place a $20 bet. Please gamble responsibly, and if you have a gambling problem, you must call 1-800-889-9789. You must be 21 years and older and in the state of Tennessee to play. Again, we'd like to thank our friends at VIP Play for presenting this video. And yeah, Lev, season outlook here. Obviously, disappointing loss to Oklahoma a couple weeks ago. Um, but yeah, since we just hit the VIP Play um sponsorship, let's uh let's hit a little over under here to start the show. Uh, Over under Tennessee finishes with 8.5 wins. You going over 8.5 or under 8.5?
Hard. It's really hard because you're kind of looking at this from two angles here with that Florida game. Specifically for me, uh, the rational Tennessee fan looks at that. Well, the Tennessee not rational. The Tennessee fan looks at that and sees that as a loss because they're a
Yeah,
Tennessee fan who's used to losing to Florida at home. But the rational human being looking at that Florida team after their performance against Kentucky sees that as a win. So it's hard because any sane person would pick Tennessee to win that game, but anybody who knows history of college football would maybe think twice before picking Tennessee in that game. So it's hard. I mean, of course, you got that New Mexico State win is an easy choice, but it's these last two wins that kind of give you a little bit of a toss up. I say so. It's over 8.5, over under 8.5, or is it
yes,
over
sir.
under? Okay. So basically, is do we
It's
think
either
eight
eight
or
or nine.
eight or
Yeah.
nine wins? Um, I
If you had to
think
place a
it's.
bet, if you had to place a bet on VIP Play right now, are you going 9 or 8?
I'm probably going with eight, just because I'm just a little nervous in both of these games. I don't. Me personally, I wouldn't bet on a Tennessee game if I was gonna bet. I would. I just think the personal bias makes it too tough for me. But just the nervousness of Tennessee being able to win out makes me lean more towards under personally.
You said you wouldn't bet on a Tennessee game, but what if you had $100 in bonus bets? $100 in bonus bets.
I'd probably bet
Co-
against Tennessee.
co- Code TL show.
I'd probably bet
I'm
against
going.
Tennessee. Yeah.
I'm going 8. I'm going 8 as well. I think you drop one of these two. I just don't know which one it is. I actually, the funny part is I don't know which would be worse. Is it losing to Florida on the road or losing to I guess it would be losing to Florida on the road, but from a fan base perspective, is it worse? I don't know. Is it worse to lose at home and not kick Vanderbilt out of the playoffs potentially, or is it worse to lose on the road to a Florida team that is horrendous? I don't know.
I
It's
think
a
these are two
We'll have to
must-win
see how the
games,
fan
I
base
feel like.
reacts. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Like my
Um,
thoughts on if Tennessee will win are different than I think Tennessee should win these games. Tennessee should win
oh
both of
yeah,
these
sure,
games.
sure,
But
yeah,
do I think it's going to happen? I don't. I'm leaning towards no. I'm leaning towards either way. I'm leaning towards no, but I think they could easily win both these games too. They
I
should win
agree,
these games. But
I agree. Obviously, the playoff hopes were crushed. Was it what was it last Saturday? Uh, Against Oklahoma at home. Yeah, let's kind of get into that. My perspective on this is, I believe we should be a contender to make the playoffs every single season. I think when you expand to 12, there's little excuse to miss the playoffs. Obviously, schedules are going to get tougher as we move into a 9 game SEC schedule here coming next season. I think the expectation and the standard for this program should be to make the playoffs. And I've seen tweets of outside perspectives that say, "Hey, as Tennessee fans, this is like a third party neutral. Is not a Tennessee fan, not a Tennessee hater. They're just saying that their perspective uh, as." And it's an analyst for CBS, and he was saying that he doesn't think that Tennessee should expect to make the playoffs every season. He even said that he thought it was smart that they didn't push all their chips in this season, knowing your situation at quarterback, knowing what you had to replace on defense. He said it was smart to not overspend like Florida State did 2 seasons ago when they went 2-10, and then this season when I think they're below 500 on the season. So yeah, your thoughts on the playoff hopes and playoff expectations going forward here?
I think going forward, you should expect to make the playoffs. I mean, this year you are not a playoff team, but I mean, like you're saying, you lost your quarterback. We're the youngest team in the SEC too, so or one of the, we're either the youngest or the second youngest. I can't remember which, but either way you look at it, we're a young team, and we still were a contender the whole year up until last week. And so I think that says a lot about this program, and that this program should be contending for national or for a playoff berth every single year. And I think that's not going to change. I think next year should be a step up. I mean, you think about it, you bring back your entire team. They should be more, well, not your entire team, but you bring back a lot of players who should be more experienced. And then you just need to fill in those gaps with the with what you need in the transfer portal, and I mean new commits as well. And then just hopefully George McIntyre is as good as what people think he's going to be. And you just really need that in the offseason. He needs to get bigger. I think that's the biggest thing with George McIntyre. I think he's a very high ceiling from all I've heard, but he's not very big right now. And I think that was a big reason why Tennessee had to go into the portal to get a new quarterback, was because he just wasn't big enough to play in the SEC this year. But I think George McIntyre is going to be a good quarterback as long as you can get the pieces around him and get
Yeah, you're
him to
saying
the
like
size he needs to be
he's
at.
definitely tall enough. He needs to bulk up, right?
Yeah,
He needs to gain some weight there.
he's a skinny freshman. He's a freshman.
He's a similar build to Nico, just probably a little bit smaller. But I still think that you need to go into the portal and get a veteran quarterback. I think that is
Yeah,
something you're going to have to do every single season. And whether or not they start, is completely depending on how George McIntyre is going to be. Because Merklinger's not going to be there next year.
no.
Um, and you got, Faison?
Faison Brandon,
Uh,
yeah.
yep, yep. Coming in as well. So it's going to be an interesting quarterback room next season.
Are there any quarterbacks that you think would be good for Tennessee to go after that they could get?
I think your best option is probably someone out of the Big 12. Again, I know we tried to do that this season.
Big 12 or
Uh,
G5, a really good G5 quarterback. But
yeah,
the
G5
problem
level. Yep.
is you bring in, you want George McIntyre to play. You're more so wanting to bring in a quarterback just to be on the safe side, but it's hard because it's like you don't want Faison or McIntyre to transfer or get butt hurt over the fact that you're bringing
Right.
in a really good quarterback. So it
Yeah.
might be better
You
to
have
get
to.
a decent G5 quarterback just as kind of somebody who could manage the offense, but is probably not going to be as good as George McIntyre. Um,
The guy from North Texas is having a really, really good season. They're competing right now in the American Athletic to try to push for a playoff berth, but he's been having a really good year. I think somebody like him is someone you'd probably want to target. And like we were saying, it's kind of for a security blanket. It's not for, hey, come in and take this job. It's so you have someone just in case these guys don't pan out, just in case you need more experience in that locker room at the quarterback position. You would go and get somebody like the guy at North Texas, someone or like Joey Aguilar is the perfect example, right? I mean, who are the transfers that worked out for Tennessee? Hendon Hooker from Virginia Tech, who didn't really play much, and then Joey Aguilar, a veteran Group of Five kid.
well, I mean, even Joe
Um,
Milton, like wasn't insanely good, but I mean, he got us an 8-win season.
So you haven't gone after high profile quarterbacks, and you've had success with all of them. I mean, not so much Joe Milton, but
I mean, yeah, not like great success with Joe Milton, but I mean, he
yeah, but you had
got you to
success
a
with
win.
all these guys that you
Yeah,
got and that didn't play well or went to smaller schools. So yeah, I mean it.
you
As
kind of
far as
just
the
want to get
playoff,
a competent quarterback. You don't necessarily have to
yeah,
get a world beater because you're expecting George McIntyre to be really good. You just need somebody who's competent and willing to come here, make a little bit of cash, and maybe not get to start, but they're willing to work to maybe try and start, but they're not. They're also fine with the fact that they might not start,
yeah, for sure.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as playoffs go, as just going back to that real quick, is I just have one more question for you on that. Kind of thinking about this. We're in the second year of the 12-team playoff. What are your expectations as far as how many times do you think we should expect to make the playoffs in 10 seasons? Because we're not going to do it this year. We did it last year.
So the 10 season starts last year, right? Is that what you're saying? Like
Yeah,
it,
so we're currently 1-1 as far as making the playoffs goes.
like we
Um,
should expect to make it seven to eight times.
okay.
Maybe six. Maybe six.
I think the lowest you can go is 6. Because it also kind of depends, right? Are you going to be competitive in these games or not? You were not competitive at all against Ohio State last year. You got completely, run out of that building. This season, we're not even going to make the playoffs. I think if we expect to make the playoffs, what 6 to 8 times, you've got to be competitive in at least half of those seasons, right? So I mean, you could be looking down to like we're only going to be competitive 3 or 4 times out of 10 seasons as
Well,
far as playoffs go.
and the thing is who knows? They might expand the playoffs even more. It's
Yeah,
honestly looking that way. And so you could be a 3 or 4 loss team getting the playoffs down the road. So I
yeah,
mean,
for sure.
if that happens, you should make the playoffs every year. If that happens,
Yep,
but
I agree for sure. Kind of going back to preseason here, way back in June, July, August, we're getting ready for the season. It's coming up fast. You know, let's remember our preseason expectations here because we're seeing a lot of angry Tennessee fans. Um, I think at this point in the week everyone's kind of accepted it and moved on a little bit, but right after that loss, it's the whole program is up in flames. Get rid of the AD, get rid of Josh Heupel, get rid of Tim Banks. Um, we have to go back here and remember our preseason expectations. And we didn't do any preseason shows, but if we would have, I think you would have said 9-3. I'm pretty sure I said 8-4. My losses were to Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and Oklahoma.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, we are on pace for an 8 or 9 win season.
I think I predicted the exact amount of losses we have to the exact teams that we've losses to. I think maybe I might have said Florida instead of Oklahoma.
I think you did. Yeah, but you had us at 9 wins. I had us at 8. So I mean, we are right where we thought we would be, and that's the problem with the fan base is you go into that Georgia game, you take it down to the wire. You should have won that one. I think that's where the perspective, the expectations shift from, hey, this team is probably going to go 8-4. We have a question mark at quarterback to, okay, this team, we should have beat Georgia. We're going to make the playoffs. It turns out that Georgia team is not the same it has been. And turns out we have not won a close game yet against a ranked opponent this season. So I don't know your thoughts on that. Like, just we all have to remember what the preseason expectations were versus what the reality is now.
Yeah, and I mean we didn't we didn't realize how much like of a fall off the defense was going to have too. I think that's really impacted things. Um, And so I think a lot of what the preseason expectations, you thought the offense was going to be maybe pretty mid, but you thought the defense would be about on par, maybe a little worse than last year. Come to find out, the offense is better than you expected, and the defense is way worse than you expected. But then it evens out to what you kind of expected was going to happen with the nine wins. But I think that close game with Georgia just really, like what you were saying, it just really um, gave Tennessee a false impression of this team. I mean, just look at Georgia; they are not the same Georgia of old. Tennessee should have beat them. Tennessee should have beat Oklahoma and Georgia if they didn't get in their own ways. Um, and I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from with Tennessee fans for this season is you just feel like you should have won both of those games, but you didn't. And when it's all said and done, a nine win season is pretty good for what they for where they're at. But I mean, they still got to get there. They still have three
Yeah,
more games, and they're not at 9 wins yet.
right.
So they
You,
could finish with 7. It's a real
yeah,
possibility. And I think if that happens, this is a bad season. I think if you finish with 8 wins, it's a pretty mid season, kind of disappointing season. If you finish with 9 wins, there's not really a special season, but it's a good rebuild year, and you met
hmm
expectations, and you just gotta improve from there.
going back to your points on the defense and also, the being one of the youngest rosters in the SEC, you got to account for injuries here as well. I mean, besides the preseason expectations of 8 to 9 wins, to be where you're at right now with how many injuries you've had on the defense, it's it's hard to say impressive, but in some sense, it feels that way. Because I mean, this defense has played well in a couple games this year. Not in every game, that's for sure. We've been very hard on the defense because they've been lackluster at times. But you've seen growth. You've seen growth that you probably wouldn't have had if those guys don't get injured. So in a way, this helps the future of the program, like you were mentioning. I know. For me, Farouk has improved a lot. I think I was very hard on him one week because of his arm tackling. Last week he was against Oklahoma. He was insane. He played really really well. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You kind of just got to take into account what the expectations were, which versus what the reality is now. And in all honesty, they are the exact same. We are exactly where you had thought at the beginning of the season. So, kind of getting into wrapping up the show here, I got one last topic for us. Kind of want to talk about the future of the program. I mentioned it. Josh Heupel, Tim Banks, Danny White. Um, I don't know your thoughts on the future of the program, this coaching staff, where this program needs to go, and versus where it's heading.
I think a lot of questions need to be asked about the staff around Josh Heupel. Um, I think needs to maybe make some changes. I don't know if it's Tim Banks. I don't know if it's the offensive line coach. I don't know. There's a lot of different position coaches that I have questions about. I don't think the special teams coordinator has been good this year. I don't think we have a good strength and conditioning coach. I think that's been an issue. Injuries have been a real issue, and I think they need to get somebody different in there. There's just a lot of questions about the staff around Heupel, and I think that's been my biggest question with Heupel is his ability to make the changes that need to be made. Coaches like Nick Saban and Kirby Smart are willing to axe coaches on their staff if they are getting in the way of them winning. If Heupel ever wants to win a national championship, he has got to learn to be that way. And I don't know if he will. I think a lot of what happened to him at Oklahoma when he coached there has made him be a little bit more hesitant to fire coaches. And I think it could be something that harms him. But I think he just needs to have a real long thought about who he needs to get rid of on this staff because I think there are people he needs to get rid of. And I also think he needs to be looking into better ways to manage football games as well. Just I think one of the hardest things for him is to simultaneously be the head coach and call plays on offense. I think a lot of the national championship winning coaches don't call their offensive plays. And for Heupel, that's hard because a lot of what makes him a really good coach is the offensive play calling that he's able to do. He has some really good plays for the most part, but I think that's something that's gotten his way towards the end of these closer games. It's hard for him to manage a game as a head coach and also call plays. So I think he might need to look into maybe getting somebody to help him out with managing games. Maybe have like an associate head coach or something. I don't know what needs to happen, but like if he's going to keep calling plays, he needs to figure out something with managing these games because it's just not working in these close games that are really important. Because it's just too difficult for him to do both. So I don't know if you agree with me on that, but
Yeah, I agree for sure. I mean, I think Heupel has to make some changes to this staff if you want to get where you're gonna get where you want to be, which is a national championship. I think if that's not the expectation for your team is to win a national championship while you're at Tennessee, then I mean, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, and I don't know. I kind of want to ask you too, like, how do you think this ends? Do you think this ends in a national championship before he's gone, or do you think this ends in him being fired in the next 5 years?
I don't know. I I think he has the ability to win a national championship as coach because I think you look at his entire career as a player and as a coach, he's a winner. I mean, he won a national championship as a player. Um, he's won everywhere he's coached. I mean, he's not won a national championship everywhere he's coached or anything like that, but he's had success everywhere he's coached. Um, so I think he has the ability to win, and I think he has the drive to win. I think he's a very competitive guy, but there are a lot of things that make me think that it might be too much for him, or he doesn't have it to get to the next level. So I think he needs to adapt a little bit more over the next few years, and if he's able to do that, I think there's just a few things that are keeping him from getting there, and I think if he
Yeah,
fixes those things, he has the ability to get there.
we have seen him adapt too with which gives me hope. Like he has adapted with the offense. We know we've heard about the changes they've made in the offseason with the way that they have their blocking schemes, wide receiver splits, wide receiver routes. Um, I feel like he's changed his play calling a little bit. He's not really focused on the run game much. I don't know. I think him adapting his play calling has given me hope that he can adapt and make changes that are necessary to win because he's already done that with his offense. For me, I don't think he wins a national championship. I don't think you can sit here confidently and say he's going to win a national championship before he's gone at Tennessee. And, depending on how that goes, we're talking about making the playoffs, uh, and being competitive in the playoffs. I think it's I think it's okay to not win a national championship because it's really hard to do. I don't think that's something that you should be fired over. And I'm just worried we're going to get to a point where it's like James Franklin at Penn State,
Yeah,
where
you definitely don't
you're
fire a coach unless like don't do what Penn State did and just fire him to fire him.
yeah. I mean, say what you want about James Franklin, he was winning games. All right. I mean, he made the playoffs last year. They won 2 playoff games. I mean, if your expectation is to win a national championship every single season, or I don't know, it's a hard thing, right? I mean, because it's
It's
just a hard thing.
it's come to the point where it's like every year is a new year and everything you've done before doesn't matter. Um, you have one bad game, you're out.
Yep.
With James Franklin, he doesn't beat Oregon, which is upsetting to the fan base. But then he goes out and has a really bad game the next week, and they just fire him. Um,
Yep.
is that what they should have done? I don't know. Maybe in the long run, it'll be better for them because, in all honesty, I don't think James Franklin was ever going to win a national championship at Penn State. I don't think Penn State's going to win a national championship anytime soon, personally. I don't think with or without James Franklin, but who knows? Um,
Yeah, that's
but
the thing. Like, you take such a big risk when you fire someone like that. Because, like I said, he was a winner. And I mean, just because we don't think he was going to win a national championship doesn't mean he couldn't have. And how are you going to have somebody come in there and replace him and expect to have the same consistency he did? Sure, he didn't win the big games you wanted to on your schedule, but he made the playoffs literally the season before. And you have Mike Norvell at Florida State right now, won 2 games last season, is under 500 this season, and he's still coaching at Florida State. Guess what he did 3 years ago?
13
Should have
and
made the
0.
playoffs. 13-0 should have made the playoffs. Was a injury away. It was an injury that kept him out of the playoffs. So I mean, it's a hard thing. But any other thoughts on the future of the program as we wrap up this one?
Just need to adapt and need to keep recruiting at a high level and compete every year for a national championship, and then that's good with me. I would love to see Tennessee win a national championship in my lifetime, but as long as they're competing, that's what matters most. As long if you feel like there's a chance that your team could win a national championship, you're heading in the right direction. Is there certainty that Tennessee can win a national championship? No. But is there a chance? Yes. And so right now that's a good direction, and I think that's a better direction than 90% of college football, and that's why I'm good with Heupel for now, because I feel like it's heading in a good direction, and I think that's what matters most.
I agree for sure. And with that, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in and thank our good friends at VIP Play for presenting this video. Be sure to use our code TL Show when you sign up. And be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content surrounding the SEC, Tennessee, and everything college sports. I'm Trev. He's Lev. This was the Trev and Lev Show. Catch you on the next one.
Peace.